Let's start first from the education process, because everything, like, you need to start from the beginning to understand how it works. Then you understand where's the problem. So in particular in Germany, in Deutschland. So first you need to get your medical degree. So it takes around 6 years, just until you graduate. Here is also like a very important prerequisite. If you're a German student, for example, then you have to have a good grades. Like you have to graduate with high marks from the high school to be able to apply for the medical institute. It's sometimes not that trivial, but yeah, so this is first prerequisite. Be a very good student in high school, then go to the medical institute, learn for 6 years, pass all the exams, kind of graduate. Second part of the education is usually called Weiterbildung, or following study. And during Weiterbildung process, a person needs to fill up logbook. Logbook is basically the defined list of the things which you as a young doctor or assistant artist need to handle, and periods which are defined for that. So, for example, you need to be a particular amount of time in this institution, for example, in the hospital, this amount of time you need to be there, for example, you need to be able to make this type of the operations or activities and things like that. And usually it's signed by supervising doctor. So someone who has the permit to teach young doctors. They basically observe you, they teach you, and then afterwards they sign that, okay, you made this amount of operations, signed. You made this, signed. And then basically the doctor in Weiterbildung, they fill up the logbook with the information of the activities which they have done. Ideally, after each period of their career, if they are jumping between different locations, hospitals, practices, and things like that. Then, after your logbook is finished, so like you finished your Weiterbildung, you can apply and pass your Facharzt certification. Facharzt, from German, it's the specialist. So you have kind of your profession, you confirmed in the logbook that you have big pile of the practical things fulfilled, this amount of years you have done, and Facharzt is like final, let's say, thingy for you. You pass theoretical exam, which is usually speaking. I think it's made every quarter by Arztkammer. They just invite these young doctors who have applied that they want, and they are ready to pass the exam. And they basically pass exam with few doctors sitting in front and asking them different questions. And as soon as person is good enough in speaking, know the cases, can answer the topics well enough, they feel, okay, this exam is passed, so theoretical part also finished, and you are Facharzt. So they just allow you to register in Arztkammer, they give you the certificate. So in raw words, it looks like that, the process itself. And then as soon as you become Facharzt or specialist, you start to build up your career. So you might employ to some employee, maybe to company, maybe find out a good place in the hospital, and keep building your skills. So, for example, do some surgeries, help the patient catch up the latest trends, and things like that. Simple. I mean, pretty much straightforward, sounds like. Unfortunately. Could be nice if it's gonna be like that. So, let's start. I mean, as soon as the study part in university, this part have no any objections. I mean, it has structured process. So here, I mean, this is university program. No complaints, no any issues. I mean, you can pass it. You know what needs to be done, in which periods, you need to know which test you need to do. It's easy. But Weiterbildung process is not that easy, or postgraduate as well, it's also named. And here's why. In the past, in Germany, in most cases, the postgraduate or specialization for the young doctor, you could do in big hospitals or in the environments where there is enough different type of the patients, the different equipment, like Oberarzt, the main doctor or chef doctor available, a lot of, let's say, the professionals available. So kind of they were pretty much well structured. But on the one side, Germany is a big country and there is not that many universities actually, or actually there is enough universities, but there is not that many big hospitals and not that many places available for the assistant arts in Weiterbildung. So that German government started to think how to actually make their young doctors to practice, to fill up the logbook. And what they made is that let's allow to make it to the municipality or municipal practices or doctors' practices to train young doctors. So basically they allowed to make kind of, if we can name it, like private practices to train the doctor and participate in the teaching program. It was not met that well, because I mean, on the one side, for example, you are as an owner, you have opened the Praxis, you, let's say, handling your patient, so on, so like you have like kind of a lot of workload, and then on the top someone tells, yeah, you can also take this young student who maybe know only theory and doesn't know anything like from the practical point of view. So here is obligations, you need to fulfill this, and then please do it. And yeah, of course, those municipal practices, they decided not to do it or try to avoid it. So as soon as it was a low interest to teach anyone by private doctor practices, it was implemented a Förderung program by KV. KV actually it's the Kassenärztliche Vereinigung, or Association of the Statutory Health Insurance. So that association, which I mentioned in the past, Public Insurance Association. And basically, depending on the range of the educational possibilities in this, let's say, municipal praxis, could be granted to particular praxis from 6 months to 5-6 years program for educating the person. And Förderung means that basically KV pays to this praxis salary of this young doctor. There is a special, let's say, table which regulates the amount of money which needs to be paid based on the experience of the young doctor, how many years he is in the industry, so on. There is like Marburger Bund table, and they try usually to follow it. And basically that's how it works. So in this case, kind of praxis get for free the doctor, pretty much for free. The KV pays the salary for this doctor, so doctor gets money from the, let's say, through the praxis in their account. So praxis kind of don't need to have additional expenses regarding this doctor, but it might have an obligation, or actually it has an obligation to teach this doctor as let's say, as a pre-requirement to be able to apply for the program. It sounded good. It really sounded good because I mean, in this case, like public health organization, association, they decided to push the idea that let's teach the young doctors. But problem here is appeared that a lot of, let's say, practices started to misuse the system. How? First, they started to put young doctors to do the things which technically were supposed to be done by Facharzt, but without real control what is done. So they kind of started to ignore obligations to teach the young doctor. They get it for free, yeah, let's use it. I mean, as soon as this is a free human resource, well, then kind of I can use it for that reasons, and yeah, that's easy. So this was sometimes mentality of the praxis owners. As soon as there was no real control implemented over the process, this is where I was really curious, like, but why it happened? And turned on that there is no real control over quality of the education by KV. So KV on the one side pays money. On the other side, they kind of don't care what is happening, like how a person is educated, what is happening in the praxis, who kind of get the responsibility to teach this young student. Well, they didn't care. So basically, turned on that young doctors are not learning. They're just rather closing the gaps in the particular praxis, and they're doing tasks which could be done by facharzt, but they just don't want. And basically they just help the praxis owner even to earn more money, because on the one side they're offloading the praxis owner if it's one person owns the praxis, and on the other side, yeah, additional hands always helpful. Yeah. Then another thing what start to happen is that filling up the logbook. A logbook, this is what I have mentioned, it became a trade coin to keep young doctor in the practice staying. So young doctor just landed up to the practice and realized that, yeah, it seems to be not working, it doesn't learn too much, and yeah, but person still needs to get the signature at least that it managed to pass this amount of time working with this practice, maybe managed even to do some type of the operations even without control of this facharzt at the end. And the fun part that educator or weiterbilder could just decline to sign a logbook at the end of the period, and if it didn't like the doctor. So technically this owner and the weiterbilder, it was silent all the time, like during this period when the young doctor was working. But when it appeared time to sign the logbook, because the young doctor was already fed up because it stopped to learn, then yeah, I will not sign it. And I know the cases when actually young doctors were going after 3 years. I mean, the 3 years were spending assuming that they're filling up the logbook, doing some kind of activities required by the logbook, but then it was not signed, or even was not accepted by Arztkammer afterwards. So those guys were going to the court to actually make it somehow working, because that was, I mean, wasted 3 years of life. Yeah, you learned something, but it didn't help you somehow to move further in the career, or even on the paper wise, it didn't help you to move to become the facharzt or specialist.